start recording. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the State of DEI Navigating Challenges and Opportunities. Our purpose today is to delve into Culture Amp's 2024 Workplace Culture Report and explore how reduced DEI investment affects employee engagement and organizational success. And our aims to connect other like-minded professionals and folks to share some incredible insights from our research team and to hopefully spark some actionable ideas to continue to drive meaningful improvement in the world of work. If you haven't read this report, that is totally cool. This is kind of like a book club for the report. If you didn't read the 27-page rich research report that recently came out. You can also scan this QR code or visit this link and download the report yourself. But we are going to hear from a lot of folks and they're going to share their perspective on what they took away from the report. So this is the Cliff Notes version, if you will. So today we are going to do a little check-in. We're going to hear from a few featured speakers, a few members of our community. We'll open it up to have other folks share, just open community appreciation. We'll have a slight moment for appreciation and, things we're learning, putting them into action, our learning. And then we'll have some closing announcements. So it's going to be a pretty fun, fast hour together. I'm your host. My name is Jessie Jacob. I'm a senior community manager here at Culture Amp. I run our global chapters program. And if this is your first global chapter event, welcome. Excited you're here to nerd out with us. We now have 100 global chapters around the world. Many of our speakers today run local chapters, and you'll be able to hear where they're from. So check those out if you want to hang out with some of your local peeps. All right. So if this is your first gathering, who are we? We are a group of people around the world united in the shared belief that a better world of work is possible. And I always like to say, and by golly, we are willing to do something about it, people. So we have, well, my slides are taking a minute to load here. We have 5 core principles that hold us all together. So like I said, we have 100 global chapters. We have 150 volunteer chapter leads who are hosting events. And there are 14,000 community members just in our chapters program alone. And we don't dictate the content that you all need to talk about in your local communities, but we do ask that you embody these 5 core principles here today and with your local communities. This is like our culture within the Culture First community, our microculture, if you will. So the first one's around fostering belonging and acceptance, just letting people be seen, valued, and appreciated for being themselves and showing up today. The second one is having the willingness to reflect and grow. If we're transforming the future of work, our organizations are doing transformation, but that ultimately starts with us being the change we want to see in the world, turning the mirror around and saying, what can I do as a result of all of this? The third one's have the courage to be vulnerable. We're constantly wearing masks and showing up to work. So how can we honor those masks and identities? And if we're able to shed some of those and be more of the human underneath it all, it gives people other permission to take their masks off and be more of themselves at work as well. It creates more trust and psychological safety. The fourth core principle, putting your learning into action. We hope that this content isn't just in one ear and out the other. We hope that you are inspired to take action, and we'll have a moment to hear maybe how you've already implemented some of this or what you're doing within your organizations. And then the last principle is connection inside, business outside. It's a fancy way of saying that in the context of this gathering, we're here to connect as humans first. And if that leads to us doing business on the outside, that's cool. But like hardcore sales and networking and all that good stuff is not the primary purpose of the gathering. So yes, this is a community supported by Culture Amp. We have a lot of Culture Amp employees here today who are going to be able to share their thoughts as well, and are able to support you. But we're not here to sell you Culture Amp, and we hope that you all aren't hardcore selling your services as well. But do we want us to keep working together on our shared mission to create a better world of work? Heck yes, we do. So you are about to hear from a handful of our community leaders. Nia Agrawal, I'll let her explain. I'll let all these speakers explain which chapter they run. And I actually just met Samaya last week at a Denver chapter event at a co-working space. And I was like, wow, you are so our people. Do you want to come and speak at this thing? So really excited that she's here today. So excited for you all to hear from Alex, Tamika, Natalia, Hannah, Nia, and Samaya. Really, really, really looking forward to learning from them. So what's going to happen is I'm going to share, I'm going to spotlight each of these speakers for you. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes for each of them. They're going to share some of their big key takeaways from the research and the report. And then what I would love is that after each of them shares, if you all would like emoji react either in the chat or on Zoom, or come off mute and even say like, woohoo, I would love that. And then we will open it up to open community share, but that is the gist of what's about to happen. Oh my gosh, I didn't even check in. What am I doing, squad? Hold up. I knew I was missing a slide. There we go. Oh my gosh. It would not be a culture first gathering if we didn't have a check-in. So please, if you wouldn't mind, scan this QR code and we're going to just do a quick check-in before we get to the speakers. I want to hear from you all about how are you doing and all of the things. So I'm going to share this screen. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Okay, our first Slido question for you. How's the weather today? Like how people always have superficial conversations. They're like, how's the weather? But what I'm asking is like, how's your internal weather? So there's the climate, maybe for the most part, it's sunshine and whatever. But like sometimes on any given day, the weather can be not awesome, and that's okay. So how is your internal weather today? What would you describe it as? Rain coming later. Period. Love that. Windy, foggy, sad and angry, cloudy, frazzled, sunny and warm. Wow, we're doubling down on the emoji too. Foggy and hidden obstacles. A handful of foggy. Thank you for sharing. Humid. Thunderstorms. Lots of. Oh, this is awesome. Hot and relaxed. Sunny with a chance of FOMO. That's amazing. All right. Thank you all for checking in with your internal weather. Just a perfect example of, the weather this too shall pass. Doesn't mean that's not the climate, Feel free to use this with your teams. We cannot always be sunshine and rainbows. So thank you to the folks who shared that they're feeling a little anxious, a little foggy. I appreciate you and I'm glad you're here. So I hope that this is able to spark a little bit of joy for you. All right. I'm just a nerd about this one. What's been one of your mantras recently? Let's hear them, folks. Maybe you have like a little success mantra that you've been saying to yourself. Maybe there's a mantra that you have when you sign on to work every day. Maybe there's something you repeat to yourself before you go to bed. Yeah, be yourself. Not my baby. Why does that one? I feel like that one's like got a little sass to it. Not my baby. Just keep swimming. I love it. I like that those two came in a row too. Okay, Dories, you all are cute. It's all figure outable. I use that one at the airport regularly for myself. Progress over perfection. Enjoy the ride. Pause. Take a breath. Trust your instinct. Under promise and over deliver. Get it done. A couple progress over perfection. Ooh, habits or help on autopilot. Ooh, let them. This is great. Couple folks with this too shall pass. You're doing enough. Woosah. This is like It's the bad boys. This is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, my worth is not contingent upon my productivity. I feel like there was a lot of themes from Culture First Global around that if you all attended. Um, all right, my last one for you. What's one word that you'd use to describe the DEI landscape at the moment? Ooh, yes. This is juicy. Shaky. It's coming big, uncertain, volatile, critical, frustrating, changing, fraught, rocky, inconsistent, buffering. Woo! Experimentative and new. Confusing. Yeah. This is real, folks. This is real. And we are going to talk about this and dig into it a bit more. Yeah. Attacked, political. Yeah. Lackluster, messy. All right. This is fantastic. Thank you all for joining on that poll. That was awesome. Okay. I'm going to get us to our speakers. Whoever would like to go of those six first. Please just give me like a little. Yep, Tamika, I love it. I'm going to set a timer for you, Tamika. If you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself briefly and before you share your insights, just so folks get a sense of it. Obviously, I'll set a timer for 3 minutes, but if you go over a few minutes, no problem, all good. And also a reminder for everyone, just please give Tamika some love after she's done sharing. That's all I ask. All right. Spotlighting you, my friend. There you go.
All right. Well, I'm Tamika Allen. I'm a chapter co-lead for Houston, Texas, and the founder of Mod Culture, where I help leaders foster business success through neuro-inclusive work cultures. And I was so excited about this report for many reasons, but one of them is where it talks about the intersectionality of disability and where that's called out. So I wanted to talk about highlight the stats that are addressed here and then talk about some action items. So in this report, I'm going to be sharing the top and the highest affirmative stats and then the biggest opportunity. So when asked in the survey, companies value diversity, like 85% of non-disabled men, right, agree with this statement compared to 71% of disabled women, right? The next one that was called out was people from all backgrounds have an opportunity to succeed, right? So you had 82% of non-disabled men who agree with that versus 66% of disabled women. It's a huge gap there, right, of opportunity. And then lastly, the perceptions like mine are included in decision making. And I thought it was interesting how both areas dropped in this as well. 66% of non-disabled men compared to 50% of disabled women. So clearly these stats are showing us that intersectionality, again, has that compounding effect, and it creates larger barriers for those that are impacted. And of course, it made me think about where would this go if we took this even deeper, including, and some of the reports and the stats in the report does do that, but going deeper into race and things like that that compound on disability and sex and things of that nature. So some action items. Obviously, you want to collect demographic data and analyze that for employee engagement, including that intersectionality, intersectional identities, because instead of just sticking with the monolithical. You want to check in with those employees who are revealed that have those intersectional identities. They may even reveal things to you to help you solve problems you're already you're trying to solve currently. But here are some questions you could ask them. You know, how can I support you? Last time we talked, you mentioned XYZ. How's that going? Based on your day-to-day experiences from your lens, what can I learn from you today, right? To touch on those areas that you may not be aware of. And the report also calls out to create, scale, and fund like ERGs, which is great, right? Even progressive organizations pay their ERG leads. I would add to this and say, in addition to that, make sure that your leaders are developing regarding empathy and psychological safety, because without those things concurrently happening, the inclusive initiatives can look performative at best. So those are the takeaways from the report. I hope it helps to bring more awareness around disability in the workplace. And yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, a little love for Kamika. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. So, so great. All right, digging right into intersectionality. I love it. This is also highlighted on I was just looking at this report actually. So if you're in the report, it's on page 11. So if you want to dig into that, intersectionality has a compounding effect. All right. Who would like to go next? Hannah? All right, my friend, hold on. All right, you go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah, and I'm joining in from Dubai, where I'm the chapter lead for Culture First. And if there's anybody joining in from the UAE or generally the EMEA region, or anyone who's interested in what's happening here, please do join the chapter and get on it and see what we are up to. And thank you, Jesse, for inviting me to share my perspective on this fantastic research that has been put together by the Culture Amp team. When I initially looked at the report, I thought, oh, this is going to be, from an academic perspective, a great source of information and data. But as I got into it, I quickly realized that it's more than just that, and it's actually a very practical and useful toolkit for any HR professional or DEI practitioner who wants to initiate or consolidate a DEI program within their own organization based on reliable data to make sure that it's successful and sustainable. So with that in view, I'm going to share some of the practical things that stood out to me that one can incorporate within a DEI program going forward, whether you're a practitioner, a consultant, or an HR professional who wants to start this within their own organization. And some of the things were new that I hadn't thought about or I needed within my own work and practice, but others were reaffirming of the things that we already do within our work. So both, it felt really good to have that affirmation and to get those perspectives. And one of the new things that I found was the range of companies that were covered within the research. And it covers a lot of continents, APAC, EMEA, so including the perspective of this region was very important for me, because usually when we do our DEI work, we are, and we talk about, let's say, for example, assessment with our clients and benchmarking their data. We're doing it through global data, which is either coming in from North America or Europe. So I really appreciate that this perspective has been included, and we can now do something that is more contextually relevant and going forward in our work. So that was one very important perspective and aspect for me in the report. And secondly, of course, throughout the report, there are certain sidebars and text boxes that talk about how you can use this data practically within your work. And one of the things that I also initiate with my clients is, before you start any strategy or any initiative or a program on DEI, you need to do your initial assessment. You need to know what your starting point is at. And it's very important to know where you're beginning so that you can mark your progress throughout, know what areas to prioritize, and then be able to see what worked and what didn't, so where changes need to be made. But how do you start that process? What is that initial step that you take? And in that, the report gives you a lot of practical questions that you can include in your DEI assessment. I think that's page 9 of the report, which give you an idea of the DEI status within your organization. And then the benchmarking data is available, so you can benchmark it against that. So it's a very great starter kit for anybody who wants to know how DEI is doing within their organization. Although the time is up, Jesse, I'll still go a little bit further. Tamika's already mentioned intersectionality. That is very important as well, especially coming from a region where the work environment is so global and diverse. You need to keep that in mind when you're collecting the data within your organization, so you know that the initiatives you're putting in place are helping the people who need the support the most. So that's very, very important. And I think the one thing that was highlighted is transparency within your approach. So if you are transparent in the initiatives you're taking and how you're bringing it in, it breeds confidence, it breeds buy-in, it breeds resource allocation. So I think that was another important aspect that was highlighted. Thank you very much.
Yes, come off mute or give Hannah a little love. Thank you, Hannah. Woo, 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 woo. Yeah, I was just gonna chime in here with even in the report it says in 2023, 42% of organizations shared that they don't have a report on DEI metrics at all, which is wild. So just like following on with what you were saying, it was like a very specific point there. All right. Alex, Samaya. Yeah, Alex. Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah,
why
okay.
not?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So hi everyone. So I always get excited about these types of reports. So my last internal role was leading global DEI for a mid-sized company, and then actually I'm currently teaching a course called Managing Organizational Diversity in a master's IO Psych Industrial Organizational Psychology program. So I will say, I mean, I'm sure for most people on the call, like there wasn't really any kind of new information on here, right? I feel like probably a lot of you already suspected this, and this really just validated it. And I just want to kind of build off what's already been spoken about. So, you know, Hannah mentioned doing the assessment. I'm right there with you. You need to have a strategy, like before you do all the kind of frills, like, you know, like an amazing like ERG, all of these different things, you need to make sure that you have kind of a handle on where you're going, what your goals are, what is best practice for your organization. There may be things you identify in your culture that are foundational for DEI to be successful. So if yes, do the DEI assessment specifically, but if you don't have things like accountability in your culture, if you don't have a continuous feedback culture, that's going to kind of, go over into how whether DEI is successful. We talked about metrics. You want to look at equity, right? You can do things like looking on the back end at performance ratings. Are, white versus, people of color, or, men versus women. Where is everyone being rated? Do you notice a cluster for any particular population? Is there a gap there? Same thing you do with engagement scores, right? Also, 9-box, succession planning. There's a bunch of different ways you can look at equity metrics. And I think one of the key foundational pieces too is pay parity. Because yes, it's so important to look at gaps in everything else, but if people aren't being paid fairly, that's the baseline. That should be done before we're kind of even thinking about a lot of other different things. And then also, Hannah talked about, APAC, EMEA. As someone who led DEI globally, you have to have an understanding of the cultural nuances between every single country. Now, no one person can know about everything, but that's why you bring in local partners, and you also make sure that you are communicating your DEI strategy in a way that resonates with the people that are local there. If you try to push a US perspective on someone in, in an Asian country or in a European country, it's not going to do well. Even just if you think about translation, some of the language doesn't translate well. So just something to think about. I just want to make sure that was touched on while we were here.
Yes, little love for Alex. Thank you. Oh, so many good things. Folks were going off in the chat. But yes, the report talks a lot about like optimizing for equity first and what that can do for your approach. What I also heard Alex talking about was this idea of you already have a lot of initiatives going on, so why not implement a DEI approach to said initiatives rather than trying to start new one-off programs, if you will. And things that already have leadership and executive buy-in, especially. All right. Nia, I saw you had your hand up earlier. Do you want to go next? Okay, awesome. Let me.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Hi, everyone. I'm Neha this side, and I'm logging in from Berlin. I'm originally from India, and I lead the chapter called Startups and Scale-Ups Europe for Culture First. Yeah, and of course, when I saw this topic, I was so excited for it. Fortunately or unfortunately, also because of my experience when I moved to Germany a couple of years back. So yeah, this is definitely something I relate to. And I must say the report was so insightful and so many things which, you can really resonate with and see and experience that this is really happening. So for me, of course, already some of the things which Hannah, Alex, they've said, they're so wonderful. And just to add to that, I think I would pinpoint to insight number 3, which I found very, very exciting. So to say that, currently things seem to be stalling primarily because the kind of questions that are being asked in surveys to employees. And in a very interesting insight after that is because there seems to be lack of action from HR, right, based on the insights they get. Yeah, and I think that's very, very interesting because if you actually see, this whole report talks about why DEI is not sustainable in a way. And what I can totally relate to is years ago, about 6-7 years ago, when I started venturing into L&D, it was the same thing. Right? So what was the same thing? There is lack of expertise. There is no leadership buy-in. The measurement is a challenge, maybe still continues to exist, right? And DEI, of course, is a much bigger and more important topic in today's time. Also considering we are not just looking at some of these intersectionalities, but also simple things like, hey, what is the mode of working, right? Post-COVID, a lot of things have also changed. So how do we make people who are working in different modes feel inclusive? Yeah, so yes, the whole mood right now definitely seems to be like, oh, everything is falling apart. And we don't have, a lot of know-how on what to do and how to do things. And of course, one contributing factor there is economy and inflation throughout the world, which is contributing to it. So I think, of course, everybody needs to think about how do we really make this sustainable, which of course we don't have an answer to. But in my view, I think how we can just keep the boat afloat is doing very small things. One of the basic things which was on my mind, which Alex already said, was fair pay. The second important thing, very important thing, which I say from personal experiences, keep training managers on leaders on how to be inclusive. A simple thing like making an eye contact with somebody who doesn't belong to your country makes a huge difference to them. Just making them feel you are being seen here, you are valued, I'm hearing you, makes such a hell lot of difference. I experienced that in my German class, and I'm telling you, it just makes a whole lot of difference there. Yeah, and the second thing is how to make performance fair. Yeah, we have a lot of work going on, how to make sure your feedback is fair, not biased. There's already a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of trainings in that field. So I think if we can keep some of these basic things in place, and even if we are not doing very advanced things in DE&I, I think we can really make a huge difference to our organization. I'll just take a few more seconds, Jesse. Yeah, and yeah, of course, as sustainability is a question, I think for us as HR professionals, it's important we don't lose hope on this topic and think about what employee engagement was years ago, what L&D was years ago, right? These are fields that have matured, so will DEI. Given the current state, we are so much in the phase of globalization. And lastly, there is just one tiny hope of ray in this report, which I think we must pay attention to, which I think Culture Ramp's leader's quote, sorry, I'm forgetting the name and the title, but it's beautiful and it's already something we practice to some extent, which is, if you do equity first, diversity and inclusion are cheap. We are already doing so many things for working mothers, for women, like period leaves, and all of these initiatives. They make a huge difference. Yeah, so just keep following this, and I'm pretty sure there is bright light beyond this tunnel. Thank you.
Yes. Well, Neha, we see you. We thank you.
You have no idea how much that means. But you know why I joined Culture First also, so you have some idea.
For sure, for sure. All right, Natalia, where are you, my friend? Oh, there you are. There you are. All right.
Yeah.
Let me grab my timer. All right, go on, Queen.
Hi everyone. I'm so grateful, Jessie, for including me on this list, because I'm not a DI strictly speaking professional. I'm a trauma-informed facilitator. But DI work is my favorite example that I always give when I talk about trauma. To kind of, and everyone gets it in the room, even people who are not ready to talk about trauma, or they have a perceived conception of the term and they get scared or triggered. And when I bring this word, diversity and inclusion, like, what do you do when you walk into a room and start talking about this topic? You're gonna have half of your audience triggered out of the room or out of their presence, or all sorts of things coming up that will interfere with your intention, what you want to achieve for that conversation in your audience. And so that example, every single person gets immediately. And so when I saw the topic of this meeting, I thought, oh, I need to bring this up, because I knew that would resonate with so many people, especially those who are doing this work. And what I found very interesting in the report, some of the thoughts that made me think about how I bring forward trauma awareness agenda, and also how I try to bring it into the workplace as well, and social educational places. And so there were some things along the lines that, now people who are at the forefront of this work, they need to kind of think outside of the box. Maybe not flag that flag with this particular name into people's faces, maybe include it as an element of something else that is already there. And for me, that was very similar, because, when I talk about in the trauma-informed approach, that is just people focused is a key to get to your people, because the imprints of the collective intergenerational systemic and all of that, they're all in us. We all share that. And when I start translating it into sustainability, that is being shifted to regeneration as a way to invest into your regulation capital, which is a way to invest into your brain capital, which is a way to improve the management of your human and social capital, then I get, a different type of attention from people. And I think diversity and inclusion, like has already been mentioned, is at the core of equity as well. And so for me, that was an interesting observation, and I really look forward to exploring that. I think later, so stay tuned. We will be organizing something on how trauma-informed approach and trauma awareness, linking that up to the conditioning created by systemic trauma, which is the imprint of systems of power and oppression in the world, can actually help to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So I'm really, really excited to look with Hannah. We've been discussing the plans to look into that. So it will be great to see you all when that conversation happens. Thank you. And I'm Geneva chapter lead. So if you're a part of IMEA, join Dubai chapter, but Geneva as well, and Berlin, and yes. Thank you.
Oh, so good. A little love for Natalia. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Just reiterating the point of, like, rather than establishing a new program, rebuild your existing programs with not only a DEI principles in mind, but also from a trauma-informed and a trauma-aware perspective, and what that can do for the way that you approach the employee experience. I love that. So good. Okay, so thank you to the speakers that shared. I also just want to call out that we did not have any male identifying individuals share because I was really excited to just get people to speak. And then I was like, okay, well, here we are. So I'm just going to own that and acknowledge that. And now, oh yeah. Oh my gosh, Samaya. And then after Samaya shares, then we'll open it up to the rest of the squad to share as well. All right, let me spotlight you, my friend. All right, there you
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Sumaya Adu. I live in Denver, Colorado. I'm the former VP of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Social Impact at Canopy Growth, and now I'm doing some consulting. So just thank you for all the folks who spoke before me. I think what's really important to note is that DEI is not the DEI person with the titles experience. I mean, responsibility, it's everyone's experience, responsibility, right? So I want to share that because just because you don't have the title doesn't mean you don't have something to add from both your experience or your learning or your growth around it. So what I would say what resonated with me is that the percentage of companies doing DEI efforts beyond basic compliance had shrunk a little bit. And I think we all know we're in a moment, right, in DEI focused work. Last year, there was a study that the churn was up to 2 to 3 times as much for DEI roles during all those layoffs than it was for other roles. So that's an indicator of that as well. As well as I noticed as I was a VP of a public company in my former role. I've also noted that a lot of roles are being downgraded, meaning they're at the program manager or senior manager level as opposed, and it's the only person there doing that work, right? Which lessens the clout and expertise that that person is able to have, even from a social capital perspective. The other thing I wanted to note is that, I think all of us know that, getting buy-in from leaders is a challenge on anything, but I think it's even more important in DEI because everything's kind of related, right? There's the intersectionality where white men, there was a 19-point gap between what white men thought everyone had an opportunity to engage in diversity and inclusion versus Black women, right? And a lot of our leaders tend to be white males, right? So again, it goes back to just because someone has a title doesn't mean that their responsibility is not DEI. So I think what's important is that we understand that DEI is more than just an HR function as well. There is a recent Wall Street Journal article that said organizations that had a DEI role actually did better in customer satisfaction, which all organizations care about, right? Employee engagement and development. There was no noted increase in financial strength in this particular study. Innovation was an increase, recruitment, and social responsibility. And those are all things that are part of everyone's values as well. So those are really important to keep track of and understand that how do we get leaders to recognize that it's their responsibility also and all of our responsibility, whether we have a DEI person or not, right? And then I just wanted to kind of end on a good note because, sometimes we read the disparity, and we go through this time of divisiveness, what we're in right now, and we're like, this sucks. We've come so far and now we're losing ground. I just want you all to know that this is how it's always been. It's always been 2 steps forward, 1 back, right? None of you are having to go sit on counters and demand to eat at lunch counters because people won't serve you anymore, right? We're just in a different version of it, but we don't have to do that anymore. And I want to talk about progress just in terms of, for instance, since 2001, 34 countries have legalized same-sex marriage. 34, right? Countries. That didn't exist before 2001. Like, that's huge. And in America, my last statistic that nobody knows about, but because I've been giving Juneteenth presentations, I've been reiterating, is that for the first time in history, the US, our Congress, is representative and meets parity for the Black population, meaning 13% of America is Black, and we have 13% representation in Congress that is Black. So I have more good news as well, but I'll stop there because no matter how hard it gets, we need to know there's a reason that we get up in the morning and we continue to go, whether it's in big, loud ways or quiet ways, still do the work. Thank you.
Yes, Amaya. So good. Thank you, thank you, thankful. Thank you for the hopefulness. And I'm so glad we met in a random co-working space last week and you're here now. So so awesome. Love that perspective. Thank you so much. So good. Yes, what Jerome said. I just want to throw the whole thing away at times. So thank you. We even talk about that a lot in Culture Amp, is like, you know, we are doing a lot of amazing things. Are we perfect? No, but like we're sure as heck trying and figuring it out as we go. And it's not easy. And sometimes we can be our own worst critic and hold ourselves to the utmost highest standard, which we should. And also like we've come a really long way and we're doing a lot of really great things too, you know? So it's this like that continuous, the 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just like, yeah, I appreciate that perspective. All right. Wanting to open it up to anyone that would like to share for a couple minutes. Anyone from community, you just want to share your reflections of the report?
Can I just say I want more Samaya good news? Could that be my reflection from the report? Carry on.
Definitely. Definitely. So good.
Jesse, if I could say, I actually haven't read the report by
great.
choice because I was like I said, I'm kind of frustrated with the state of DEI, but just being in this meeting and hearing everyone's perspectives on things is making me say, okay, I actually do want to take the time to invest in this report and, you know, just get a better understanding of what we're seeing out in the world today. And I guess, you know, it's just, to be honest with you, if it's DEI isn't doing so well, I don't know if hiding my head in the sand and saying I'm not going to face it helps anybody either, you know. So yeah, thank you all for helping me come to terms with the fact that I need to read the report.
I love it. I actually had ChatGPT read the report too, as well, and then highlight the summary for me. I actually read the report, but then I had ChatGPT also tell me, and I was like, let's see where the delta is on this. So, you know, that's another resource for you as well if you have ChatGPT 4. It did a pretty good job, actually. I was like, all right, sweet. All right. Anyone?
My name's
Yeah,
so
hey,
my name's
Lincoln.
hi, yeah, sorry, I'm calling from my car. But anyway, maybe just a perspective, and I really liked Samaya's last conversation. So I was president of the Orange County Diversity Council here in California for a couple of years, and then I was on SHRM's legislative board for a number of years back. And so I've seen sort of the ups and downs. When I took over the Orange County Diversity Council, that was, and I'm not trying to get political, that was in 2016. And there was definitely a shift at that time because of the political change at that point. And then we saw, you know, things go down, then we saw a bit of a resurgence, and now we're kind of back into this noise, so to speak, as we get into another political cycle. And there's been a lot of issues around wokeness and so on. So I think it's easy to get discouraged, particularly when we see the report, but it will go in cycles, I think, as somebody said. So as long as we kind of stick to educating, continuing the awareness, looking at the strategic value of inclusion and equity, then I think we can get to the right place again. But it's going to be tough for the next a year or two or so as we kind of sort through the noise going on right now. We're seeing that in the report, but I've seen it before, so it will come back in terms of importance.
Awesome. Thanks, Enrique. Thank you for sharing. I think last Global Chapter event was your first event, so I'm happy to see you back. Welcome back. This is awesome. All right. Well, as to just like wind us down here, since we have 10 minutes. In conclusion, in the report, it talks a lot about how this data is yours, and that it doesn't have to end here. So use this to your advantage. You don't have to start from scratch. Use the data to support some of the cases that you're trying to make in this report. Reflect on a lot of, they have a ton of action items that you can take to support you. Like Hannah mentioned, there's like specific prompts and questions that you can use as well. And focus on equity first, obviously. And also, can we give a little, maybe folks don't know this, but Heather Walker and Freesia Jackson are on the People Science Research team. So can we just like give them a little love for the work that they're doing? It's incredibly meaningful and important. We see you, we appreciate you, and also thank you for being here. So thank you. And it's so fun to just like see your meaningful work out into the world. And it's really cool. So please keep going. We need you. Okay. So unless anyone wants to share, I wanted to take like a moment to do a little bit of like appreciation here. So I heard this quote recently that said, one of the nicest things you can do for yourself is to find something about somebody that you appreciate. And how that actually, it serves you to do that as well. It feels good for the other person, but it feels good for yourself. So would love if you wouldn't mind just taking a moment to send anyone. You didn't even have to like interact with someone other than maybe you just heard their perspective or maybe you noticed something about them today. Just taking a moment, sending someone a DM here, a personal DM, and sharing something you appreciate about them. Would love to just like take 2 minutes on this. All right, maybe send one more message. All right. So we had some appreciation. We've talked a lot about how DEI action taking has stalled. So what can you do? I know it's so easy we've kind of started talking about this, but like DEI is more than just a title. It's more than just our organizations doing the work. It starts with us being the change we want to see in the world. So would love to just hear, even if someone wants to come off mute to share or drop in the chat, like what's something you're willing to take action on after today's session? Would love to just hear from a few folks. Maybe it's something very tactical that you can do within your organization. Maybe it's something you can do on a personal level, but would love to hear some thoughts.
Jesse, this is partly a thought, maybe a little bit of thought about me, but partly maybe a question overall. I would love like a follow-up session, maybe that talks about, that gets into sort of the whys of this backtracking a little bit or people's feelings about that. And I'd also love if there were some success stories that still would happen that we could celebrate and could learn from. I think that would be an interesting, because I'll be honest that my perspective on this is a little bit questioning sometimes the value, but even though I believe in the goals for sure. And so I'd love to hear from programs that or companies that have been successful and that we can learn from.
Yeah. Thank you. Gordon, could you say more about the whys, like the why of investing in DEI, or the why?
Why do we think there's been this, to the extent that there's been a pullback, why do we think that is? Is it just economic environments? Is it the feeling that the programs weren't successful? Is it what, if we sort of better understood why, I think that might help to shine a light on how to move forward.
I like it. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. A couple other folks were wanting to keep the convo going. Yeah, absolutely. I like it. And we have a ton of customers who have a lot of success stories that we could absolutely amplify their voice as well and share some of the things that are going well.
And I can quickly just add to that.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that you don't have resistance unless you're doing something right. You don't have resistance unless you're doing something right. And yes, sometimes when something is getting taken away from you, or you feel as though something is getting taken away from you, it feels like you're personally being attacked. But what we're really creating is a space for people to be seen, for people to be appreciated. And if that feels, which is a very real feeling, I'm not going to discount it, that your experience is no longer amplified as much as you would like it to be, so be it. I'm a heterosexual woman, and the fact that LGBTQ people and I get to support people who are through their transition makes me happy, even though I'm a cisgendered heterosexual woman, right? Because it's not about me, it's about our community and not controlling how someone decides to be or how they were born. So we're doing something right.
So good. All right, we could talk about this all day, and I know a lot of folks are very passionate about this topic. So the momentum does not need to stop here. We can absolutely have a second session. I think that I was considering doing a second session that was a little more APAC friendly time zone wise as well. So thinking about that. Other ways to stay involved with our community. Obviously, yes, this is the chapters program, but if you're not in our People Geek Slack community, I would totally recommend checking out the digital community and keeping the convo going over there. Culture First Global just happened a few weeks ago. I thank you, Frisia, for sharing on Running's really great session. There's all sorts of on-demand content as well from that. Check out our Culture First podcast or subscribe to our Geekly newsletter. And then there's all sorts of regional marketing events that we call, now they're called Culture First on Tours. I need to update this slide, but and here is the QR code to learn more about the content from Culture First Global recently. This is the session that Frisia just dropped in the chat. So every step counts on diversities and inclusion, ON's diversity and inclusion journey. If you want to check that out, it was a really, really good session, I've heard. So that's actually one that I've been meaning to listen to. All right. Well, would love to do a clap out. This is a very Culture First chapter thing for us to do. I want to say thank you again for the speakers that were here and shared your time and talent and your energy and your wisdom with us. Thank you for the folks that made time to just be here and to learn with us and to geek out. So let's keep the convo going. What I would love is to have Heather is going to come off mute. We're all going to come off mute. But Heather, if you don't mind, she's just going to count us to 3 and we're going to do a clap out. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're all going to clap and then the Zoom meeting's just going to shut off. Okay. So does everyone understand what's going to happen? Heather's going to go. She's like in shock. You're just going to go 1, 2, 3. Then we're all going to clap after 3. And then we will have this meeting concluded. Does that sound good? Okay, thumbs up. Everyone understands it's about to happen. Okay, great. Before I hand it to Heather, thank you again for being here. We need each other. So cheers to co-creating a better world of work and keeping the momentum going. So over to you, Heather.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.